The Italian contribution to the Second World War has been generally discussed with reference to Mussolini's support for the Nazi war effort and his own bungled attempts to recreate the Roman Empire in North Africa. What has often been overlooked is the involvement of Italian military forces in the war in the Far East. Of particular interest were the Italian efforts to defend their possessions in the Far East following the overthrow of Mussolini in September 1943, which led to Italy changing sides and which placed its Far Eastern forces in a confrontation with Japanese forces, which led to open hostilities. Following the conclusion of the Boxer Rebellion in China in 1900, Italy, along with many other European nations, was granted international concessions in China, and in order to secure their trade rights in Asia and to protect their interests in common with other nations, Italy stationed troops close to their cantonments and maintained a small naval presence in the Far East. The Italians had been granted concessions in Beijing, Shanghai and Tianjin, and these areas had been governed under the direct sovereignty of Rome since 1901. Naturally, a special military force was required to protect Italian interests in China. Although Japan had begun their conquest of China in 1931, the international concessions were not attacked or occupied by Japanese forces. On the 6th of November 1937, Italy signed the Anti-Comintern Pact, and Mussolini opened diplomatic exchanges with Japan. The Italian position in China was assured when Mussolini signed the Tripartite Pact with Germany and Japan in 1940. This placed Italy in the position of junior partner in the Axis alliance against Great Britain, the Commonwealth and the British Empire. However, Italian military incompetence proved embarrassing for Hitler, who was forced to commit German forces to the conquest of Greece and North Africa after Italy had suffered severe defeats at the hands of Allied armies throughout 1941 to 42. In the Far East, the Italian garrison units were unaffected by these events because, following the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor in December 1941, Japanese forces were soon overwhelmed and likely defended colonial outposts of Hong Kong, the Dutch East Indies, French Indochina, Burma and Malaya, culminating in the humiliating surrender of British and Empire forces at Singapore in 1942. Therefore, no Allied forces remained in theatre to pose a threat to Italian interests in the region. However, this is not to say that the Japanese were happy with 3 areas within important Chinese cities still being firmly under the control of armed and organized Europeans. Approximately 600 soldiers and sailors, with a further 100 soldiers and sailors protecting the Italian radio station at Beijing, garrisoned the Italian concession at Tianjin at the time of the September 1943 armistice, when Italy changed sides. The Italians also maintained consulates at Beijing, Hankou and Shanghai. Located at Tianjin were 2 gunboats of the Royal Italian Navy, Lepanto and Carlotto. The naval presence in China and the Far East had been increased during April 1941, when it had become apparent to the Navy High Command that the Italian naval base at Massawa, Eritrea, then part of the colony of Italian East Africa, was going to fall to British forces. The Navy had no wish to see its vessels captured by the British, and in February 1941, they had ordered the dispatch of the colonial sloop Eritrea along with the auxiliary cruisers Ram 1 and 2 to Kobe, Japan. Ram 1 was sunk en route by the British cruiser HMS Leander of the Maldives. The other 2 vessels eluded Allied patrols and arrived safely in Japan. At the time of the Italian armistice in 1943, Italian forces were split up all over the Far East. The Italians were participating with the Germans in delivering valuable cargoes of optical instruments, weapons, and assorted stores